Tuesday, September 15th, 2020, meeting of the Cotuit Fire District Board of Fire Commissioners. Present, Commissioner Pisano.
Commissioner Conley.
Commissioner Zace.
Chief Root.
Thank you. We are recording. Is anyone else notified us of recording? I've received no such notice. We can begin with public comment. Don't see
I
any
have,
public-
I'm sorry, it took me a minute to get my mute. This is Carol Zace calling. I mean,
Yep.
talking. 86 Putnam Avenue. At the last board meeting of the Cotuit Civic Association, we started talking about looking into providing the village with a video system, because we have had such good results from our community meetings with people reviewing the recordings we have done over the course of the COVID period of Zoom meetings, that we felt it would be something useful to the village. So I wanted to let you guys know that. And in so doing, I have consulted with my son, who is in the video recording, live streaming industry. And the first conversation I had with him was to give him information about the setup of the room and the format of the meetings that that commissioners have, as well as meetings that we have as a community, and what equipment was already in existence. So I'm now hearing tonight that we're doing some dual information gathering. His question was, and maybe you guys can help out with it if someone knows, is what are the output plug types? And Adam might be able to give more specifics on that, the AV equipment that we have right now, because being able to use the microphones in Freedom Hall as a form of speaker or audio to the room in and of itself is very helpful for the audience. And to be able to use those speakers to also be part of the recording in tandem with the video, there's a different way to do it than with the product that you're currently looking at. So I just want to let you guys know that I'm looking into it and have just found out you're looking into it. So maybe I could get together with Paul at some time and we could coordinate our process so that there's one system. And that's what I wanted to bring you up to date on. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, so we have a return option on this hardware if we're not satisfied with its functioning, but it's time limited.
Yeah, I think it's 30 days. I'm not sure exactly. I just received it on Friday. We're well within the period to return it. We can certainly discuss it now, but you know, pending your discussion, I think I'd recommend that we return it and go a different direction.
Yeah, maybe you can get, you and Carol and Adam can get together on this in terms of, sounds like they got their own in-house tech expert that might be able to point us in another direction that would make it easier. But let's just do that while we still are within the time frame of returning this, what is it called, an OWL?
Owl Labs, yeah, they call it an owl.
Okay.
All right, we'll take that offline and try to get together with Chief at a convenient time in the next day or so.
Sure.
Thank you.
If you want to look into it, it's a 1/4-inch audio jack is the output for the video audio system that we currently have.
So that's 1/4-inch audio out.
That's the only output it has. It has no
Yeah,
other output.
that's like the old style headphone,
RCA
or like
plugs.
like
The old
electric
RCA
guitar.
plugs? Yeah,
Yep.
The big ones, not the mini ones.
right.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with those, Adam.
Yeah, it's like you have to be as old as me.
You did get it.
Okay, moving on. If there's no other public comment, we have copy of the minutes of the previous meeting. My only concern on page 2 at the top of paragraph, uh, they wrote town of Barnstable. I mean, rather they wrote town of Cotuit receives federal funds, or receives funds which can be dispersed, and that should be changed to the town of Barnstable. Because that was the whole point of it, that the funds go to the town of Barnstable and they have discretion about distributing it to the districts. Do you see that line, Chief?
I'll make that change.
Yeah. Other than that, I was fine with the minutes as written. Did either of you have any observations or changes?
No, good catch, Chairman.
All right,
Good
then
from my perspective.
I would move that we accept the minutes as written with that one modification.
Second,
Second.
In favor, Pisano.
Conley.
Zace.
Great. Chief, your report.
For the month of August, we had 78 total responses. 43 were medical, 2 were hazardous condition. I think they were both wires down, and 33 were service good intent or false alarms calls. Of note, Memorial Day weekend on 9/7, we had 2 boat rescue calls. So 266 responded twice to 2 vessels sinking off of the Osterville Channel, alongside comms boat, and assisted 2 sinking vessels. All the passengers were rescued prior to either fireboat's arrival by Good Samaritan boats, but they both responded to fairly significant calls. Administration, we've still got a good supply of PPE. Still have no new positives, COVID in Cotuit since April 10th was the last positive that we had. 2 positives reported since then were false positives or residents out of state. So nothing since April 10th.
Chief, excuse me,
go ahead.
in terms of the PPEs, are we still helping the hospital replenish their inventory as well?
Yes, I'm picking up an order tomorrow, actually, of N95 masks. We transfer them to them and they reimburse us our exact cost for them. I'm hoping that they're going to be able to get their own supply fairly soon and get us out of that loop, but we are still supplying Cape Cod Hospital with masks.
Okay. One of the calls listed in the activities was listed as a citizen complaint. I had not seen that one before. Do you know what that was about?
Yeah, the citizen complaint calls are all burning without a permit. So,
Oh,
one neighbor calls up on the other neighbor and says that, they've got an illegal permit or fire in their backyard, and we respond. They're actually coded incorrectly. I've been changing them right along to burning without a permit calls or unauthorized burning that shouldn't be citizen complaint. So those need to be changed. I think there's 2 of them listed in this month's report. And I just hadn't had a chance to change those to what they need to be.
okay, good. Thanks for the clarification.
We just talked about the simultaneous Zoom live commissioners meetings. We tried this Owl Labs product, which was a $1,000 product that seemed to be if it worked, the cheapest way to get where we want to go. So we can have live and online simultaneous meetings and interact with the community online and live. We've tried it out. I sent the recording out to everybody to listen to. The videos seem to work fairly well. The device automatically points to who's talking to capture their video. The audio in Freedom Hall is pretty poor. There's a really bad echo. The device has echo canceling, and it's made for an 18-foot radius, which we're well within, but it just didn't capture clear audio. So the other options we've got quotes for $5,000 to install a system from an expert provider. But as far as a quick, easy solution for us to do, it seemed like this was our only option. All the cameras that are spec'd out as compatible with Zoom are $1,000 plus. And then you need to tie in the audio. So we'll continue to look into it, but it may be a prudential type expenditure, and it'd be an article for next budget, for next next
Right,
fiscal year.
or as Carol brought up, that the Civic Association is considering
Sure.
something.
Yeah,
like
if they want to get involved and
District.
assist with that, that would be a great option.
Absolutely.
But it unfortunately is a more complicated project than we were hoping. So we'll return the owl unless you guys have an objection, and use those funds towards something else. Technology update. We switched over to OpenCape. We're no longer using Comcast for our internet provider, and been very happy. Speeds have been great. We are looking into a voice over IP phone system right now. We're getting quotes on that to see if we can get a new system with more features at hopefully a lower price. And we're also looking at changing our IT service provider. So we had a company called Secure Networks that was providing IT support for us. As we have switched from desktop computers to Microsoft Surfaces to be more mobile, we've secured these computers through our billing company, our ambulance billing company. They provided IT support with them. So we no longer need our IT company to support our desktop computers because we don't have any desktop computers. They, as a result, have said, since we don't want that part of the service, that they don't really want to provide us any service. So they were providing the cloud component of our system. So we had a data workplace, or Autotask also known as, where we store all our data in the cloud. We can only have that service through an IT service company. They no longer intend to be our company, so we need to transition our cloud away from this product, and they're suggesting going to SharePoint, a Microsoft product. So it's basically a Microsoft OneDrive with some extra features, I think. So we're looking at trying to transition our cloud files over to a new system. But we also lower our cost too, so we won't have that. I think it's $400 or $500 a month IT cost anymore either. So that's an ongoing project. Training wise, the firefighters put on a great training program, a vent enter search at 56 High Street. So the building next to us, they set up a artificial smoke generator, had all the off-duty firefighters come in and simulated rescue operations through a second floor window. Actually, it's through the back. It was a first floor, but it simulated a second floor emergency rescue. So great program. Everybody did really well. There's some video on it on Facebook, on our Facebook page. Firefighter McPherson and Lieutenant McNamara did a great job putting it on. They took it upon themselves and independently set it up, set up the props for the building, and did a PowerPoint presentation and training for all the staff. So went really well. I've got a letter of appreciation for their efforts that I put in the cloud drive that without objection, I will put in their files. And they're also planning a RIT, a firefighter rescue, interior rescue drill for, I believe, next month. I don't have a date yet, but they're going to borrow some props from ComFire that they've developed for wall breach, wire entanglement, narrow entry, and they're going to set up the props to the interior of the building and leave it set up for the month so that the firefighters can go through on their shifts and do drills on that equipment as well. So that's coming up for next month. I'll make sure I alert everybody as to when it is, and make sure we get some videos of it as well.
Hey, Chief.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Excuse me. A couple thoughts real quick. I thought they did a great job. It was very impressive. So it was a nice job they did. I was just thinking, as you were referencing COM, that we're borrowing some equipment from COM, would we ever consider offering COM access to the building for their training?
Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned to Lieutenant McNamara, I asked him once he set it up to make sure he invites Mashpee Fire and COM Fire, since it's going to be available for the month. Great training platform. We want to make sure that any of our partners in our communities, neighboring communities, are able to use it as well.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yep.
Great. I was also lucky enough to be able to see part of the training the first team through. I really liked the setup. I thought they did a great job. sorry I couldn't stay to watch a couple of the other crews go through it as well. Although they told me the first crew was the best.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
They all did great. It was, it's a great morale builder, great training. We're lucky to have the resource next door. It worked out really well.
Good. While we're on that topic, if there is no objection, I would just move that we go ahead and authorize you to put those letters of appreciation in the Lieutenant McNamara and Firefighter McPherson's folders.
Second,
In favor, Zano?
Conley. You
Adam
have-
said,
Zace.
Adam said Zace.
Yep.
I read his lips.
Yep.
Go ahead,
Thanks.
Chief.
Pete Emerson also did a great job. He's been helping us out with the IT, and he makes sure he put all the videos on Facebook and has been putting other videos in on the social media for us, and doing a great job at it. Continuing to do a great job at it. Pro EMS report was attached. Personnel, our only IOD we had was returned to duty September 4th, so we're at full staff. Everybody's healthy. That's a great thing. There's also included in the cloud file was a letter of thank you from the Prudential Committee. They wrote a letter thanking all the individual firefighters that helped set up for the annual district meeting and the special district meeting. So that was nice of them to provide that. I will put that in the files for the firefighters that assisted.
Great, thank you. By the way, on the Pro EMS reports, this time we're included comment section, and I found that really helpful to read people's comments. Certainly gave a better sense of the quality of the interaction and people's experience of the service.
No, they were good comments. They don't come up every month. So I think it's 3 or 4 months we get the comments. If you look at the dates, they go back quite a ways.
Yes.
There were some comments. One of them had a comment as to a Mashpee ambulance being out of service, and it was a delay in response. So that was actually I'm trying to think what that was, us mutual aid to Mashpee, I think, for that call. It wasn't a Cotuit call. So that the delay wasn't a delay for us getting to a Cotuit call.
Mhm.
Trying to think what the other comments. So there's one on a pillow again. So we do have pillows on order. We'll be
I
getting
saw the
pillows in the
pillow
back of the
comment.
ambulance. So other than that, everything I don't think there was anything else remarkable in there. They're all positive comments, I think.
Yeah.
Else on personnel. The arbitration case has been dropped by local 3642, so that's all done and over. A lot of support from our legal contractor and Commissioner Pisano, so that's all done and over. Apparatus, the new car 261, hopefully you'll be in by the end of the week. We've had a lot of work done on our other vehicles. So our ambulance, we've been kind of putting off major repairs for quite a while. Every time a major repairs, we take it out of service. We don't have an ambulance. So we've been using Morrison Automotive and Hyannis, and they've been kind of stocking up parts, getting ready for a major repair. And I think it was earlier last week, they took it out of service for almost 2 days, and they did replace the entire brake system, emergency brake system, and it was out of service for a bit of time. So it ended up with a significant bill. It was just over $4,000 for repair and parts, but it's little things that have been going on for a while that were stacking up, and it just had to get addressed. So the ambulance is in full service now. Everything's all up to date and ready on it. All the fluids have been changed.
Hey, Chief, during that 2-day period, what was the demand that potentially would have been satisfied with a?
I don't know the numbers in front of me. It was fortunately a very slow period. I think COM came over once to a call on Old Post Road, and they might have come over a second time. So I think it was out one full day and half of the other day. So I think it might have just been one call we had to call mutual aid for, but it could have been 2.
All right, that's great.
We were fortunate. So we're also had a hard time getting service providers for our engines. So we ended up getting Minuteman fire apparatus. They sell fire trucks. We bought our fire trucks through them. They've got a mobile service. So they came out over the last 2 days and have done the annual service and pump tests on both our engines. So they completed that today. So both our engines have had all their annual service done, and we're up to date on all vehicle services.
Very good.
What else? So facilities. We've been trying to get some of the facility improvements done. It's been slow. The builders in the industry are extremely busy right now. Real estate's kind of crazy. We've had Patello's in twice trying to get prices and specs on new doors. They ultimately said they don't do commercial and they don't have any ability to help us out. We've had a couple builders say they're coming in and they haven't made it in yet. And we've had one builder that came in but didn't have insurance. So we've got a couple builders, contractors scheduled to come in over the next week to see if we can get some prices on fixing the doors and the hardware for the doors, interior and exterior. Hope to have something on the books by the end of next week. And we've also been looking at security camera systems. So we talked before about putting a camera system in the interior apparatus bays and something covering the front ramp and parking lot. We've got two prices, which I put on the cloud. I think I put them on later this afternoon, so I'm not sure anybody's had a chance to look at them.
Yeah, I've seen them.
You have seen them? Okay. We got a price from our alarm service provider. So it's Nemic Alarms. They provide alarm monitoring for our facility, the 56 High Street, and I think they also monitor Freedom Hall. They used to do security systems. I called them up and they said, we don't do that. And they called back and said, well, maybe we do it. So they came out and gave us a price. They gave us a price of $4,200. It came as a kind of a hand scratch on a pad of paper. It's security cameras hardwired back to a hard drive recorder. And that's all I have for details on their system. We also got a price from Valley Communications. They did the water department system, so Cotuit Water. Cotuit Water put, I think, about a $300,000 fiber optic security system that they monitor real-time 30-day records on all their facilities. Comfire also used them for doing their systems. They spent just under $200,000 for them to put in door control systems and video monitoring at all three of their stations. They're on the state bid, so if we chose to go with them, we could go with them. They provided a quote at $9,200, I think, and that's the same system that Com and Cotuit have, so they would all work identically. So it'd be one system.
And they would integrate with the door locks?
So they also will do the door locks. However, using a online network door lock system like they propose ends up costing about $5,000 a door. Yeah, a lot of money.
You okay, Rick?
I've been looking at, so we can replace the existing locks we have with a newer electronic version for about $300 to $500 a door. I think that's more reasonable than a $5,000 a door. So I'm waiting till we get the specs in the door, and then we'll order door locks at $300 to $500 a piece. We've got 5 exterior doors, so I think that's a more reasonable approach for Cotuit and for our organization. So we'll still have security. There'll be, records of when people come and go and what codes are used, but not $5,000 real-time recording of it. That's the plan right now. I don't know if you've got any suggestions on the video monitoring. I'm happy with the price from Valley Communications. We can certainly reach out and try to get some more prices. I think the value in having a system that's the same as the water department and Com, where we can all access the same system, is significant. They're professional. They did a good job. Com was happy with them, and so is Cotuit Water. They both had good things to say about the organization. So any feeling as to whether you want some more prices on that, or whether you're okay to go with the $9,200 video system, security system?
Yeah, Chief, just a quick question. It looks like I'm just reading it quickly here. It looks like it's hardwired. Is that the case?
It is. It's all hardwired cameras. It covers the whole parking lot, the whole apron in the front of the station, and then one camera inside the lower bay. and one in the upper day. So the dispatch would be able to see the inside of our station and, see if anybody's there, see if what equipment's in the station, if they, didn't happen to catch on which piece is signed on the air for a fire. And then if there were any accidents in the app floor or on the aprons, it would be recorded for a 30-day time period so we could go back and review it. Or if there's any equipment missing, we could go back and review it.
And is there one, and again, I apologize, I'm just kind of looking at quick on it, maybe you just said this, is there one in the lobby?
No, we didn't put one in the lobby. There's one that covers the door to the lobby. So we see anybody that approaches or anybody that walks into the building. But right now we're doing everything, curbside. So, that might be the way of the future anyway. So no, we didn't put one in the lobby.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
certainly add one.
If you're catching the front door, if you're catching the lobby door on the outside, that's cool anyways. Thank
We
you.
are.
Good. No, I think we should go forward with,
I have a quick question. How are we accounting for this again? This expenditure?
Where's the money coming from?
Yeah.
This is the article money, the $100,000 that was authorized FY20 for station renovations.
All right.
for which we still have 85,000.
$85,000, I think, remaining.
Right.
Was the wording of that sort of broad enough that it would cover this or not?
We gave presentations. I don't have the wording in front of me, but we gave presentations that talked about the need for security, the need for updated security, the need for a security system. I don't have the article in front of me, but that's what
Nor do I.
that was the intent of the article.
Yeah,
It
I don't
was
have a
for-
copy of the article in front of me either, Adam, but
Yeah,
we were pretty specific in listing all the things that were going to be bundled into.
Yeah, that was my recollection. I just always want to ask the question about how are we being as transparent as possible.
no, I think we made that very specific. We said the kitchen needed renovation. We needed to move the offices downstairs. We needed increased security, replace the doors, carpet, interior paint, which the guys have been working on, flooring. That's what I think those are the main items we spec'd out as part of it.
Excuse me.
Was there anything else in facilities, Chief?
No, I think that's all we have going on right now for facilities. So
Just a quick question there, Chief, on facilities under the purchase order log. Looks like we spent $1965 on HVAC.
we did. We had some the VFR system for the second floor had a circuit board fried out on it, and then the temperature probes also broke on it. So they came and did that. Plus, they also came to do their annual service on it. So between the annual service and the 2 to 3 visits to repair the VFR system, it was not cheap this year.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Appreciate the explanation.
That it for you, Chief?
That's it. Yeah. Do you on the security cameras? Do you want me to go ahead and do the Valley Communications, or would you feel more comfortable if I got some more bids or more quotes on that?
I like the idea of using the same system that the water department used and having both the water department and comms experience with the vendor is reassuring.
It is, although I do think that the NEMIC one doesn't feel like it's in the same class of quote as the other. So it feels to me like even though we have two, we don't really have two. So I don't know if it's a make work kind of thing, but it felt to me like that you would sort of reject that out of hand almost. Thoughts?
No, I agree that
I agree.
the other one was excessive. Kevin, you're on mute. I didn't catch whether you said anything.
No, I didn't. I don't disagree. The first one, the handwritten one is, is not worth considering. And I do think there is some significant value in having it line up with the water department and the income. So, my gut would be to go forward with that because that would be, more consistent with what we have as a general statement. And if not that saving money isn't important, it obviously is, but if we can leverage some of the expertise we have in other places, we're ultimately going to save money in the long run anyways.
I agree.
Well, just from the standpoint of correctness, do we really? I'm just throwing this out. Do we feel that those two sort of meet the four corners, if you will, of the concept of getting multiple bids, or do we say, hey, one of these really doesn't belong and need to get a true second bid?
Well, are the two
I do
things-
agree that there's value in the sort of the shared experience of that particular vendor.
Yeah, are the two things completely exclusive, mutually exclusive? To go ahead in the conversation with them about what they could do, timetable, and at the same time look to see if there is another reasonable company available to offer a second proposal. I mean, do they need a definitive go answer at this point?
No, I don't think anybody's required. We don't have to give a go answer on any contract at this point in time. We can go get other prices. We don't have to. They're on the state bid, so we don't, and they're under $10,000. So, it's best business practices under 10,000, and they're on the state bid. So either way, we're covered 100% on procurement law. I can certainly call around and see if I can find, like I said, all the contractors are kind of crazy busy right now, but I'll do my best to get another quote that's similar, a similar type company that has similar qualifications.
If you can find one around,
I'll do my best. Yeah, I can see what I can find.
give it a shot. But in general, I would like to see positive steps moving forward, getting these various things underway and not more delay in search for the.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll bring next month. I'll bring back whatever my results are and attempts to get other quotes, and we can make a decision then maybe.
If you make a good faith effort over the next couple of weeks and you can't find another reasonable outfit to make a roughly comparable quote, I would suggest that we authorize you to then use your discretion to proceed and get this the first place lined up.
Okay.
I would agree with that. Yeah, that
Adam?
sounds very reasonable.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
The only other thing I had on my list was the lieutenant's promotion process. I don't know if you want to do that now or save that till later in the process here.
Well, let me just finish the item in the new business because that's quick. And then we have two major conversations left on the agenda.
Sure.
Under new business, I've been invited to attend the Water Commissioners meeting later this month, along with a representative of Prudential and the director of properties for the town. I've been continuing to have conversations with the chairman of the Water Commission about the elementary school property before we let the town go too far along in their decision to demo the building and consider other options. The water department is looking at it for a number of critical use reasons, and I think we ought to be a part of that conversation. So I'm going to be participating in that conversation as a representative of the Fire Commission. If either of you have specific things you want me to address, let me know.
Okay.
Yeah, Rick, I think that's great that you're part of that. And if there's anything, any help you need with anything, let me know. I'd be happy to participate.
Thank you. Otherwise, we have both the chief contract and promotional process left on the agenda. Kevin, you participated in interviewing candidates in the promotional process. Have you completed that?
Yes, we were able to go through that process, and we have completed, and we have a recommendation.
I would welcome that recommendation.
Chief?
So first, before we get to that real quick, if one of the other commissioners intends to go to the water commissioners meeting, if they could let me know so that I can post it as a public meeting for the fire commissioners. As far as the promotional process, we had initially intended after last meeting to do the interviews as part of the commissioners meeting, but we're not able to do that in executive session. So I made a decision to contact Commissioner Conley, and just the two of us, along with the deputy and a union rep, and do the interviews and provide a report to the commissioners for consideration. Not interested in doing promotional interviews on a public platform. I don't think it's appropriate. So we interviewed the two candidates. They were firefighter Peter Emerson and firefighter Shane Clark. They're both great assets to the department. Ultimately, Acting Lieutenant Shane Clark gave a phenomenal interview. He blew the interview out of the park. Did a phenomenal job. He provided a professional resume, which I unfortunately last minute stuck on the cloud, so it's up there for you guys to look at, and a cover letter. He's been a member of the organization for almost 20 years. He's been full-time for about 10 years. He's been EMS officer for 2 years, and in that 2 years, he's contributed every day. He's dug us out of an EMS hole. We were in dire straits for medical ambulance licensing. He contributes every day and a valuable member of the team. So it was universal, I think, a unanimous opinion of the interview committee, myself, Commissioner Connolly, Deputy Pouliot, that he should be offered the lieutenant's position. And I'm making the recommendation that you promote Shane Clark to the status of lieutenant for the Cotuit Fire Department.
I'll echo everything the chief said. Shane did a phenomenal job, well prepared, presented himself well, and I think he'll be an extremely valuable asset to the department as a lieutenant.
I have a concern. I know Shane. I am not surprised that he did a great job with the interview. I'm concerned about his workload. Has his term as union president ended? Okay.
Yes, he has passed the union president job, or firefighter Casey Staggs has been voted in as union president.
Okay.
Also a phenomenal asset to the department, and I expect great communication between us and the local with either one of the two.
And if this promotion goes forward, will Shane, continue to serve as the EMS officer?
That's the plan at this point in time. I guess that's something we'll have a conversation with Shane. He's done a phenomenal job at it. I'm sure he continue to do a phenomenal job at it. If he thinks the workload is high or he wants to look at focusing elsewhere, we can certainly discuss that and find someone else if he wants to do that. His time as union president was a big benefit. It showed absolute leadership. Being union president in no way disqualifies anybody from an officer's position. If anything, it's a high qualification. So,
Adam, do you have any questions or comments?
I'm reading the Shane, Lieutenant Clark, the acting Lieutenant Clark's cover letter and resume now. My only, it's not a concern. My comment is that I was looking forward to having the opportunity to speak directly with him. It's regrettable that we couldn't do that.
you can do that. You can speak with him.
Well, no, yeah,
He's
but
willing to talk to you. He's on the call right now.
I know we were buying chicken pot pie at Tuesday night over at the Coop together, so we could have done it then.
Missed your opportunity.
Yeah. That said, so I all I can do is at this point is just stipulate to the recommendation or agree with the recommendation without the opportunity that to speak to him in this particular capacity. He and I have spoken many times over the years, but so that's just my comment. I wish we'd had the opportunity to do that together. But okay, so that's all. That's the only comment I had.
And I would
I wish we
entertain
had
a
a
motion.
way to do that. Unfortunately, the open meeting laws
No. We
preclude
can't go
executive
back in
session for
time.
interviewing. So
So just a quick comment, as the chief said, it was really an open meeting law thing, I guess, but I guess it was, but even past that, just to give you guys some perspective, the chief, the deputy, and I sat down ahead of time. We spent a good hour and a half, maybe, whatever it was, going through questions, reviewing, where we were going to take the conversations with both candidates. So it was really a good prep session for us because we had the opportunity to really, talk about leadership between the three of us. I brought a little bit of a different perspective, I think, than maybe would normally be seen. But I think we did have the good opportunity to craft some great questions, or good questions anyways, that we got a good feeling for, Shane, as well as the other candidate, Peter, did a nice job as well. So it was a good session all around.
and we didn't ask lieutenant questions. The questions we asked were more management level questions. We're asking questions to find out whether they're qualified to do the next job. Not to be a lieutenant, but to be a deputy or be a chief. And honestly, I walked out of the interview thinking, Shane just blew away a chief's interview, not a lieutenant's interview. So he did a really good job. And yet they were hard questions. They were organizational questions. Where do you think we should go as an organization? And how would you attract and retain staff? And questions like that. They weren't easy questions.
What was the open meeting law issue?
Open meeting law only allows executive session for preliminary screening interview session. So if we were screening a group of 100 applicants for a new firefighter job, we could do it in executive session. You can't do that for promotion. So if we decided to do this interviews with the board, all the rest of the firefighters could sit in, as well as the public, and listen to the interview of the first firefighter, and then another firefighter could come in and take the promotional interview after already watching the first interview where the first firefighter did it. So it's a ridiculous law, but it is what it is. It's not a fair process.
Yeah, I just didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, well, we got the legal opinion just to make sure that was the case. I suspected that might be the case, but I wasn't 100% sure until we got a legal opinion on it.
In lieu of further discussion, I'll entertain a motion to endorse the chief's recommendation to offer the lieutenant position to Shane Clark.
So further discussion first, if you would, Rick, just,
Sure.
Chief, I suggest if you would, I don't know if you did, I'm looking at the list of questions that we had prepared. It might be worth putting them on the cloud.
I'll put them in the file. Yeah, I'll put them on there right now.
So Rick and Adam have access to it so that they can see it.
That would be great.
By any chance, did you record the interviews?
No.
Okay.
Entertain a motion. Ready for a motion, Rick?
Yep.
So I motion that we offer a permanent lieutenant's position to Shane Clark.
Second. Any further discussion? All
Nope.
those in favor? Zano,
Conley,
Zace?
Unanimous, Chief? Don't tell Shane.
I
I
won't
see
tell.
he's muted, so I know he can't hear us.
Congratulations, Lieutenant. Nice job.
I put the lieutenant's questions are on the cloud file for your review.
Great.
Thank you.
Last order of business. We are in the process of trying to put together a contract for the chief for the next 3 years. And we have a draft. Have you both had a chance to look it over?
Yes.
The legal counsel has given us a number of suggestions of things to address and discuss. And we're going to have to work through item at a time off of that draft. So
The legal counsel's opinion came through at just after 3 o'clock today. So,
So
many of them were changed immediately. So I think by 3:30, most of the changes were made. There's still a few open issues that has to be addressed to take care of their comments.
So the version I'm looking at has strike throughs in certain places, and a red section 13.4.
Is that is that a strike through one, or is it still exist?
It does not have a strike through. It's just, so
Okay, so
I'm
that's
not
the old
sure.
version. That last section's been eliminated.
Okay, so I'm not looking at the most current, but so
If you
that was
reload
the,
it, you can reload it now. The version that's on there has that as a strike through.
oh, okay.
Rick, if we could step back for a second. So we have the contract, and I think Adam's going to get the latest version. I do see the red strike through, red line. So what is the plan? I know that the contract is up in July, I think, right?
Yes, by term, we are supposed to have this resolved. What is
January or thereabouts, right?
right in, call it January 1st for working purposes. So no, we are not realistically going to get a final version done today. This is to begin the conversation among the three of us about terms. We have the great advantage of having the chief available to have that conversation with him as we go. We are trying to move toward a version that we're all happy with and get it in place and off of our work list over the next couple of months.
Okay, thank you. I just want to get your perspective there.
That's where now some of the highlighted issues that still need to be addressed. Obviously, the compensation issue will be a major topic. There are also questions I have in section 3.2 in regard to compensatory time. Legal counsel has raised some questions and some good back and forth about what's going to be the best way to address this, about oversight. In the case of the deputy's contract, we had an easy out. We put it under the authority of the chief. But in the case of the chief's contract, I don't really see the board as in a position to or wanting to necessarily try to run monitoring of the chief's calendar management, if you will.
Yeah.
And legal counsel raises questions in terms of forward-looking about what if it was a different chief, what if it's a different board. And I was reminded of the comment you made, Adam, back when we were talking about the deputy chief's contract, that we can, we have the option of looking at that kind of an issue in the case of the specific without being bound to offer the same terms down the road to some future chief.
Mhm.
But we need to think about that point. Another point that I would say we need to address is 8.2.
Hey, Rick, before, if you don't mind, before you go on,
Sure.
just to throw out, and again, shooting from the hip here, kind of, because we're just getting into the conversation.
Mhm.
Relative to that, I don't disagree. Board of Fire Commissioners would be a fairly cumbersome way to handle that. I do think that could be your role, right, or the role of the chairman could very easily be slid into that conversation. Just, again, we don't have to decide that now, but that's just kind of my thought process on it. You know,
It does always raise the issue of, an arrangement that we're comfortable with under the current circumstances, with the current board, the current chief, may not work well
Yeah.
down the road with change of personnel.
And as you
Yeah.
said, give you the opportunity to renegotiate that as appropriate for the next chief or the next board as the next chief goes in or whatever. But anyway, it's just food for thought.
Adam, you started to say something?
No, I was going to agree with you. I think that the what seems like a good idea today often isn't a good idea tomorrow. But I'm mindful of my particular situation for tonight's meeting, that I have a hard stop, unfortunately, at 6:30. So I didn't want to, these are all good points. Chief, I did reload, so I do see the latest version of this. So what I mean is I didn't necessarily want to get into this much further tonight, given the fact that I got to leave shortly.
Right. If you will bear with me, this will go on to the agenda for our next meeting, but in the interim,
Yep.
with the most recent version, the things that I would like to ask you to each give some real thought to and come to the next meeting prepared to take further the items on my list, and you're welcome to add more, are the ones that I've touched on so far: compensation, the oversight of hours, the question of notice of resignation. The contract allows the chief to offer 30-day notice. Two issues with that are problematic. One, having been in the circumstance of suddenly having to conduct a search for a new chief, I would certainly think the district would be well served to request longer notice than 30 days.
I crossed that off. That was also Mayor Lisa's opinion that wasn't in the district's best interest. So I crossed that whole section out. It's been eliminated. There is no option for receiving benefits and leaving with 30 days notice.
Okay. It still, I think, is something that we ought to weigh, but I touched on oversight of hours, the issue of insurance benefits in the 8.2. The chief's circumstance is unique, but I think that as a matter of state law, we're advised to include in there health and accident insurance as well as life insurance are offered. We'll then have to tailor the rest of that section to accommodate the chief's situation where he doesn't need the district's health insurance. But it also raises, looping back to the issue of compensation, the question of whether or not a stipend for waiver of insurance should be considered as part of a compensation package. And my
So-
last area of
Go ahead.
concern, just to get this on the record or in your record, section 9.3, the entire issue of progressive discipline is, I think, a murky matter in this circumstance. And I want to give it more thought as to whether we even want it in the contract. And legal counsel has raised some good points about it as well. Chief, could you get legal counsel's responses circulated to Adam and Kevin?
Yes.
Great. I think that there would be useful to review. And did both of you see the comparative salary schedules?
Yes.
Okay. So,
So one quick comment to get on record, to point taken about bringing questions to next time. One of the things that we do in business contracts is to put the general in a contract and refer to like an exhibit A or something for the specific. And we could certainly potentially use that kind of structure as it relates to things like insurance. I'll explain more fully when we meet next time.
Kevin, did you have anything else to add?
No, I was kind of agreeing, like, I was saying addendum, I was kind of agreeing with Adam. I get what he's talking about. So that would be interesting. It's a possibility.
All right. Then with those put in front of you as the points where I would like to start next month discussing fine tuning those elements of a contract. I have only one other note on a separate matter, and then we'll let you go, Adam. I responded to the treasurer's question about our long-term operating plan requested by the auditors. I believe I sent you both CC'd you on that.
Yeah, I followed that email thread. Thank you for doing that.
Just wanted to make sure if there are any other points of input or concern that either of you had, please let me know.
Okay.
All right. I think we can call it a good night's work and wrap it up.
One quick thing I forgot to mention, training. Right now, as we speak, our engine and two of our staff are over in West Barnstable doing a tanker shuttle drill. So they're actually training right now.
Oh.
Forgot to mention that.
Thank you.
Yeah, good. Would it be possible to have a schedule of training posted on the website?
Yeah.
I'd like to always know, because they're very interesting to observe if you can happen to work it out to be able to make it. Anything else?
Nope.
Good to
Motion to
go.
adjourn.
Second. In favor. Pisano.
Finally.
Zace,
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
good night. Thank you.
Yes, thanks.